she's pulling away. Your texts go unanswered, your calls ignored, and every instinct screams at you to chase harder, explain more, prove your worth. But what if I told you that her silence isn't rejection, it's opportunity? What if the moment she starts ignoring you is precisely when you gain the most power? Machiavelli wrote something 5 centuries ago that most men still don't understand today. The one who needs less controls more. In this video, you're not going to learn how to win her back through desperation. You're going to discover how to turn her indifference into obsession using psychological principles that have controlled human behavior for centuries. This isn't about playing games. This is about understanding the dark mechanics of attraction that operate beneath every interaction. We're diving deep into Machiavellian psychology to show you exactly what to do when she goes cold and how to make her mind work overtime thinking about you. If you're ready to stop being the man she ignores and become the one she can't stop thinking about, hit that subscribe button right now, because what you're about to learn will change how you see every relationship dynamic forever. When she ignores you, most men panic. They double text. They apologize for things they didn't do. They show up unannounced with flowers and speeches about feelings. But Machiavelli understood something brutal about human nature. The more you chase what retreats from you, the faster it runs. Her silence isn't cruelty, it's a test. She's measuring your desperation level. She's watching to see if you'll crack under the pressure of her absence. And when you react with neediness, when you break down and beg for her attention, you've just told her everything she needs to know. You're weak. You're controllable. You're not the prize. But what happens when you do the opposite? What happens when her silence is met with your own silence, but yours is strategic, calculated, powerful? That's when the game changes completely. Because suddenly she's not the one withdrawing. She's the one left wondering why you stopped chasing. The power of strategic silence runs deeper than most realize. When she ignores you and you respond with calm indifference, you've just flipped the entire dynamic. She expected you to react. She expected drama, emotion, pursuit. Instead, she gets nothing. And that nothing becomes everything. Her mind starts working. Why isn't he calling? Why isn't he trying? Did I lose him completely? The silence you give her isn't empty space. It's psychological weight. Every hour that passes without your reaction becomes an hour she spends thinking about you. Because human psychology abhors a vacuum, and your absence creates one that her imagination rushes to fill. This is where most men get it wrong. They think silence means you don't care. But Machiavellian silence is different. It's not indifference, it's control. You're not ignoring her because you're hurt. You're creating space because you understand something she doesn't. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you become worth chasing. Your silence becomes a mirror that reflects her own emptiness back to her. She realizes that without your attention, without your energy, without your presence, something is missing from her world. But here's the critical part. This isn't about playing hard to get. This is about becoming hard to get. There's a difference. Playing hard to get is a performance. Being hard to get is a transformation. When she ignores you, use that time to actually become someone worth pursuing. Don't sit around analyzing her behavior. Don't stalk her social media. Don't ask mutual friends about her. Disappear into your own growth, your own goals, your own life. Because when you emerge from that silence, you're not the same man who was chasing her. You're someone who doesn't need her validation to feel complete. The psychology behind this is simple but profound. We desire what we can't have. We obsess over what remains mysterious. We pursue what challenges us. When you respond to her indifference with your own elevated indifference, you become a puzzle she needs to solve. You shift from being someone who wants her to someone she wants. That transformation doesn't happen through words or grand gestures. It happens through strategic absence and the personal evolution that occurs during that absence. But timing is everything. You can't break your silence too early. You can't come crawling back the moment she sends one text. When she finally reaches out, and she will, your response must be different. Not eager, not relieved, not grateful that she's finally talking to you again. Your energy should communicate one thing clearly. Your life got better without her distraction. You're not angry, you're not hurt. You're just focused on bigger things now. And that focus, that sense that she's competing with something more important in your life, That's what creates the obsession. She'll start to wonder what you've been doing during your silence, who you've been with, what you've been thinking, whether she made a mistake by ignoring someone who clearly doesn't need her. And in that wondering, in that curiosity, in that fear that she might have lost someone valuable, the obsession begins to grow. Because you didn't just survive her rejection, you thrived during it. And that strength, that independence, that ability to be completely fine without her, it's magnetic in a way that desperation never could be. Remember, Machiavelli wrote that it's better to be feared than loved. But he also understood that the highest form of power is when someone fears losing you, not because you're threatening, but because you're genuinely valuable and genuinely independent. When she ignores you, don't see it as rejection. See it as your opportunity to become the man she realizes she can't afford to ignore, the man who doesn't chase because he doesn't need to, the man who turned her temporary indifference into permanent fascination simply by refusing to play the game she expected you to play. That's not manipulation. That's elevation. That's how you transform from someone she can dismiss into someone she can't stop thinking about. And once you understand this principle, her ignoring you stops being a problem and becomes the beginning of your psychological dominance in any interaction that follows. But let's go deeper into the mechanics of this transformation, because most men stop at surface-level silence and wonder why it doesn't work. True Machiavellian control requires understanding the layers beneath the obvious. When she ignores you, she's not just testing your reaction. She's unconsciously revealing her own psychology. The fact that she chose to ignore rather than directly reject tells you something crucial. She's keeping you in a state of uncertainty because part of her wants to maintain that connection, that option, that power over you. This is where most men make their fatal mistake. They interpret her behavior through their own emotional framework instead of seeing it as data about her psychological state. Her ignoring you is actually her way of maintaining control without commitment. She gets to feel powerful while keeping you available as an option. But when you understand this game, you can flip it completely. Because the moment you stop being available as an option, you force her to make a real decision. And that decision-making process, that pressure to choose rather than just control, it rewrites the entire dynamic. She can't ignore someone who isn't there to be ignored. She can't control someone who has removed himself from her sphere of influence. This is where the concept of strategic value elevation comes into play. During your silence, you're not just absent. You're actively becoming more valuable. You're improving your physical condition, advancing your career, developing new skills, meeting new people, creating new experiences. When she finally encounters you again, either through her reaching out or through natural circumstances, you're not the same person she thought she could casually dismiss. You've evolved beyond her initial assessment, and that evolution forces her to reassess everything she thought she knew about you. The psychology behind this is rooted in something Machiavelli understood about human nature. People value what they have to earn, and they obsess over what they've lost. When you disappear during her silence, you create both dynamics simultaneously. She has to earn your attention back, and she experiences the loss of the control she thought she had over you. This double psychological pressure creates what we might call cognitive dissonance. Her mind can't reconcile the fact that someone she thought she could manipulate at will has suddenly become unreachable. But here's where it gets truly Machiavellian. When she does reach out again, your response must be calibrated perfectly. Not cold, not warm, but intriguing. You acknowledge her contact without showing relief or eagerness. Your energy should communicate that while you're not angry about her silence, you're also not desperate for her attention. You've moved on emotionally, but you're open to seeing if she's evolved enough to warrant your renewed interest. This position of benevolent indifference is psychologically devastating, because it implies that she lost something valuable through her own choices. The key is making her feel that during your absence, she missed out on the best version of you. Not through boasting or obvious displays, but through subtle indicators that your life has improved without her drama. Maybe it's your improved physique. Maybe it's your calmer energy. Maybe it's references to new experiences or opportunities. Whatever it is, it should make her realize that while she was playing games, you were playing life, and you were winning. This creates what psychologists call the fear of missing out, but on a deeper level. It's not just fear of missing out on events or experiences. It's fear of missing out on the person you're becoming. She starts to wonder what else she might miss if she continues to play games. Version of you will emerge next. What opportunities is she losing by not being part of your evolution? This fear becomes the foundation of obsession because it's not based on what she has, but on what she might never have again. The beautiful part of this strategy is that it's completely authentic. You're not pretending to be unavailable. You actually become unavailable because you're focused on your own growth. You're not faking indifference. Genuinely become indifferent to her games because you have better things to focus on. This authenticity is what makes the strategy so powerful and sustainable. You're not performing a character. You're becoming a better version of yourself. Now, when she realizes that her ignoring you didn't break you, but actually improved you, something shifts in her psychology. She begins to see you not as someone she can control, but as someone she needs to impress. The power dynamic flips completely. Instead of you chasing her approval, she starts seeking your validation. Instead of you wondering if you're good enough for her, she starts wondering if she's good enough for the new you. This psychological reversal is the essence of Machiavellian seduction. You don't convince someone of your value. You become so valuable that your value becomes undeniable. But remember, this isn't about revenge or punishment. It's about transformation and truth. The truth is that someone who ignores you is showing you exactly how much they value you in that moment. Your job isn't to change their mind through pleading or pursuing. Your job is to change yourself so completely that their initial assessment becomes irrelevant. You're not the same person they thought they could ignore. You become someone they can't afford to ignore. This is why Machiavelli's principles have endured for centuries. They're not about manipulation or trickery. They're about understanding human psychology deeply enough to position yourself advantageously in any interaction. When someone ignores you, they're giving you the greatest gift possible. They're showing you exactly what they think of your current value and giving you the motivation to exceed their highest expectations. Use that gift wisely, and you'll never be ignored again, not because you demand attention, but because you command it through the undeniable reality of who you've become.